and right? Then you have consonants. Ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, cha, cha, ja, jha, nya. Then you have ta, tha, da, dha, na. Then you have ta, tha, da, dha, na. Then you have pa, pha, ba, bha, ma. Yeah. Ya, ra, la, va, sha, sha, sa, ha. And you also have the Tamil la, the big la. Yep. And you have the matras next. Ka, ka, ki, ki, ku, ku, kru. Okay. Let's listen sometimes. Kr, 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 kl, kl. Then you have K, kai, ko, and cow. Right. Older books sometimes printed like this. And then you have kam and kaha. Right. If you want to just write the consonant, you put thing on the top, which makes it ik, right? We know that we don't do this, but we rather do this, right? Same way. It's actually this. It's actually that's right. So these are the basics, right? And if you know that, you can pretty much read some of the Sanskrit words and Grantha words. So we can try writing a word. So I want to type my name. Right. That will be right. Let's see if there's anybody else that has a easier name. Right. We can write Radhika, right? Right. Let's say if you have an easier name without any commit extras. No, you're correct. It's Vivek. Let's see. Right. So you can read and write actually like basic Sanskrit words. But as you guys know, give me a minute. As you guys know, most of Sanskrit words are not simple. A considerable amount of them, right? They have some Samyuktaksharas, right? And this session, we're going to cover how to actually read and write to Samyuktaksharas, right? And for for those of you who know Devanagari, you know that Samyuktaksharas can be complicated, right? You take two letters, you squish them together and create another new letter, right? And Devanagari has like lots of those. For instance, you have like, say, I want to write Vidya, right? Right. It's actually, this actually, it plus here, right? And it gives you a totally new letter, Dya. Same with Tra, right? Gives you Tra, right? Even Tamil has this, so you can take the Tamil ik, you can take the sha, and it gives you sha, right? So in Grantha we do something similar as well. We can take two letters and squish them together to create a Samyuktakshara, right? And in a way, Grantha is slightly simpler than say Devanagari. So apart from squishing the two letters, you can also stack them right on top of each other. For instance, right? Let me use Devanagari as an example. So we have seen yeah, da plus da. Some people write it like, right? So you can pretty much use the same thing in Grantha as well, right? And in Grantha, it's very, very simple because the letters are separate, so you don't have to join them, right? So when basically two letters join, right? Let's say cluster, right? I can basically write below each other, right? And this is the, and gives you the, right? Right. Yeah. So you can write, say, the word Shakti. Yeah. Shakti. Right. Right. And most of like nearly all, a significant amount of the Samyukta are just like letters on top of each other, right? Let's take another example. Let's say take the word I want to write all right, the word Saptami. Right. So, right. It's as simple as that. Say I want to write the word, let's say Krishna. Yeah. Krishna, and it's as simple as that. But sometimes certain letters are like they are vertically fused, like they take one half of the one letter and the other half of the other letter and put them together. And these are just like around, I would say like 20 odd letters that look different, but they're actually aren't. For instance, let's take the word Bandhu. Right. I can start that. But yeah, you may think that I have to write it like this. It's not wrong to write it like this, and I have seen books which are printed like this, but the usual convention is to actually write like this. You take the na and write the that together. Right. You get Bandhu, right? Same way. Let's say I want to write the word say Prashant. Yeah.
I don't know that.
Let's write a word. Say I want to write say right? It's a bad example. Let me think of it. Okay, let's take the word, an easier word, right? It has to some structures, right? Let's say I want to write the word something, right? There are. So instead of writing like this, I would take the. This is basically the half of n, right? So it eventually became. So this another way of writing it, only like a couple of letters I said, where it looks different, but it isn't. I'll give another example. Let's take the word Buddha, right? So I write Bu. Instead of doing this, I would have to do, right? It's basically, I start doing the and write the second the, right? So once you see it, you probably know what letter it is. It's not that difficult. Let me list all of them. So you know that it's actually easy, right? So let's say this is sure, right? You can see the K and Sh here together, right? And you have the, you can also select the K and the squished together. You have here, right? It's basically H, Anya, you write it together. Yeah. And you have it's easy. You take the and add the and gives you the. Right? So yeah, and you have twa, right? It's basically twa, right? And you have the. So you can see that once you see a letter, you pretty much know how to read it. There are few things that might look slightly odd, but if you look at it closely, right, you can actually read it. For instance, you have basically Similarly, you have right. Same we have, we can take sure. And you have sh. Same way you take sh, you get st. Yeah. Again, some books actually print it like this, or even like this. But if there is a form where it can be like written in like one single stroke, you should prefer to write it that way. For instance, right? So you can write it like this, but since there's a combined form for these two letters, you should prefer to write it like this, right? Again, you can write it like this. There's technically nothing wrong, but since there's a combined form for this, you should rather write it like this. Yeah. Right. Anything else, right? Okay, you can write some more. Again, you have a ma, and you have another ma. Sometimes you send it like this. Right. Like you can see that it's actually two ma's put together. Same way when you have a na and another na. Like you know that it also appears here, right? Which is actually the, right. So basically, right, it's pretty much the same here, yeah. And this one tricky one. So you have na and we have va. You can write it like this. It's not nga. When this letter appears in Grantha, it's actually nva. Yeah. Then we can take the and va. You get the. Right, and you can take nya and cha. We have yeah. Cha. But sometimes it might be written like this. That's fine. It's just a faster way of writing it. But I would rather prefer writing like this. And yeah, just one more. So you know understand how it works. You can take ja plus ja. Gives you ja. Plus ja gives you right. Ja. Apart from this, you can see that we haven't covered a few important ones. We haven't covered the samyuktaksharas with r and with yeah, because they are special. Yeah. So in Devanagari, do kra, right? Bra. In Grantha, it's something similar. You take a and put this nice curve below it. Yeah. You take ba and you take it nicely here, right? So just remember this, yeah. This is kr. This is kra, right? It has to go all the way around. And also you have the year. So usually you don't write it. All this. When you put ka and ya, you don't write it like this, but rather this takes a very special form. So right, it becomes yeah. So I can take the, make it pure. I can take the and make it thra, right? I can take pa, pure, pa, pra. Yeah. Now what happens when ra comes in the front, right? When you have, so in Devanagari you have ra, ir, plus ka. The ra goes at the top, right? Yeah. Plus ka. Right. In Grantha, something similar happens. In Grantha, something similar happens, right? So when you take il and you put in front of a consonant, instead of going to the top, it goes to the front of it. That's the only tricky part. For instance, right? So this is ilka, right? Right. So I can take ka, irka, ma, rma, right? Right, and you can take pa, pa. And that's pretty much it, right? So to summarize, there are like two ways of writing samyuktaksharas, like three ways technically. One is to stack them, write one below the other. All right. And the other way is take like two letters and squish them together. You can take na, tha, ntha, right? Another one, the last one is like you get like special forms. Yeah. So yeah. Bra, bhya, let me see. right? So yeah, and you can recognize these just by seeing it, right? It's just like the smaller version on top of a bigger version. This, you can mostly recognize it. There are some just handful of tricky letters where the form is like completely different from the constituent consonants. But even then, once you start reading it, you will pick it up. Yeah. And you have the special sign for ra as in bra, and the special sign for ya as in bhya. When the refa, the rakara comes to the front, it takes a special form after the consonant. Yeah. So let's try writing some words, right? So we know pretty much all the special forms. Let's pick a word. Right. So I get a word. My dictionary is giving me like random words. Let's try that. Right. Cool. Samintakshara. Kundalina. This is interesting. In very, very old books and sometimes in manuscripts, you find this beautiful form, right? But people don't print it that way. But sometimes you take like very, very old books, you find this form is na and written together, right? And yeah, but this is not used anymore, not in, at least in the printing after like 1890. Let's take another word. Okay, it's just my Sanskrit dictionary giving me random words. Right. Yeah. Ma. Cha. So this, right? It becomes here. Right. Let's write another one. So I'm missing a random. Right. We have the V. You can write the Shern word together. V. Tra. And yeah, one important letter I nearly forgot. Shri. It's the same in Grantha. because the Tamil Shri actually comes from Grantha Shri, but we don't use this for like other Shra sounds. For instance, if you want to write like the word Shreyas, you don't write it like this, which is kind of sad because Tamil has let write this, write that sound. But in Grantha, you do use it, so it becomes Shreyas, right? And sometimes people write Thra like this, because when you write like these two things together, it's easy to write it that way, right? Sometimes you see it. Most fonts display it, but personally, I write it like this, right? It's prettier, right? Let's try some complicated examples, right? Say I want to write the word, say, Vastra. So I want to write the word Vastra, right? Well, right? You can put everything together, right? Vastra, right? Say I want to write the word, I don't know, Drishtva, right? After seeing, right? Drishtva. Let's take that. Write the Magri first. Drishtva. Okay. Drishtva, right? Dr. Shta. Drishtva. Let's see if there are any other words. Okay. My dictionary gave me a word to try. Right. So I write V, Samyuktakshara, Vitva, the whole thing, Na, Ka. And this is as simple as that. Let's see if I missed anything. I don't think I have. Right, so I can show you something. Again, if you go to the site, Grantha, can actually see the list of all things where you squish two consonants together, and you can see the special forms. You can also see the stacked forms, and you can also do something. You can take, I want to take g. It lists everything with g as the first consonant. If I do reverse, it gives me anything g as the second consonant. I want to take the, right? I want everything starts with the. You can see that if the Samyukta Akshara has the as the first consonant, mostly written on top of each other, except for like 2 cases, well, 3 cases, yeah, 4 cases. You have th, you have twa, tra, and they are like already special forms. Same if you go to na, right? So in the it is special, in the that's special, in the that's special, in the nma, nma, everything else we just write on top of each other, right? It's a good reference to keep if you want to refresh how to write a certain Samyukta, and I don't off the hand remember how to do it. Yeah, again, if you want to go to a, if you're gonna go here, you can set the difficulty to difficult. No, you can actually practice trying to read it. Grantha. So we have Matsya, which is here. I have Prasvapanam, which is here. I have Kampayanmaha, which is here, right? They can try practicing it, and yeah, at some point, if you're comfortable enough, you can take a text, right? It takes time, but you can take a text and try to read it, right? Right. You can basically like switch off the thing and try reading it without help. That's what I would do. For instance, I'm going to take this one. I want to switch off the guide, right? And say, I want to read like one by one. Say, if I don't understand something, I can put my mouse at the top and it will tell you like what word it is, right? And if you're beginning to read, you can switch this off and basically can like follow each letter by letter. Yeah. You can have Tamil, you can also have Devanagari and Roman, whatever floats your boat. And yeah, of course, I haven't covered the swaras, the Vedic swaras. They're like a bookload of Vedic swaras because one of the primary living usage of Grantha is for like in Veda Pathshala, right? And most of the printed material is in Grantha, at least in Tamil Nadu, the recensions that are followed in Tamil Nadu. I haven't. Thing is like these are like special signs. You need to know how to pronounce them. So you're not going to see it here, but it's easy. So each Anudatta is like a special character. So Udatta is a special character. If you have Dirgha Udatta, that's a special character. You have Agam Anuswara, they're special characters, like a bunch of like at least 10 to 12 characters that you can use for writing Vedic text. But this is a good start. You know? We don't have to jump into the sea. We can start dipping our toe in the well to begin with. So yeah, thanks for joining in. Let me stop sharing my screen. Yeah, thanks for joining. I know in the beginning there were around like, I don't know, 600 registered people who actually showed interest in attending the or the Grantha thingy. Then the first session it was like 60, and then I think it was 40, then it was 30, and at the end we have like 14 committed participants, and that's quite good. I'm happy about it. Yeah, if anybody can like learn from this, and try to use Grantha in their like day-to-day life. Say if you want to write Sri Ramajayam, right? Try writing it in Grantha, right? If you want to practice some shlokas, right? Try writing in Grantha. And that's how we can preserve a script. Yeah, that's how we can make sure that it lives on, not something as very esoteric, but something people can use in the day-to-day lives. And yeah, that's it. If you guys have any questions, please post it or raise your hands, and Vidya can unmute you.
So there is one question posted in the chat saying that,
Yeah.
are there any variations in the Grantha script?
Oh yeah. That it's very different. Again, I forgot to say, like, the variation we are covering here, they're basically printed ones, right? When Grantha went from manuscripts to print, it was simplified, right? It was simplified a lot. Yeah. So what you see as in printed Grantha is basically reformed Grantha script, right? For instance, remember in Tamil, you have ku, ku, to have like different forms, separate unique forms. Grantha has the same as well, right? And there were too many, right? And how they write the samyuktaksharas, there are a lot of these squished samyuktaksharas, right? And it was very hard to typeset them, right? Imagine you're in the 1880, just printing just became popular. You have this complicated script that you want to transfer it to print. Yeah. So there are a lot of like simplification, modifications, mostly simplification, and yeah. So, but this is a good start, right? Once you know printed Grantha, you can go back. Once you start reading the manuscripts, based on the context, you can basically guess it, right? You don't have to like I don't know, put special effort, right? Since I assume that you know Sanskrit and you know like printed Grantha, and once you start reading the manuscripts, you know what these funny looking forms are, right? I can show you an example. Let me show you an example. Right. Right. So sometimes you see tya like this in manuscripts, right? And this is tu, right? And you also have like this is dr, right? And you have like all like very like it's because it's handwriting, right? So people try to reduce the amount of effort to write the letter without lifting the pens, right? Right. And so you have some these different forms that was not transferred to print. I said, right, when you see a word like this, right? So you're reading a manuscript, right? And you see a word like this, right? You know that it has to be bhavatu, right? It can't be anything else. You know, it's a ta, it's a ba and a va. Clearly, it's bhavatu, right? And say if you have a word like right, you know that's pa, na. It looks like ear joined together, and basically it's punya, right? There are certain books. There's a book by I think Grunendahl where he has actually like cataloged all the forms occurring in manuscripts. Maybe I can ask, we can send you, if you send me a mail, right? Maybe I can share the link to the book. Yeah. Yeah. There's one more question. How to write the numbers? The Grantha numbers are same as Tamil numbers. They share the same numbers. Grantha doesn't have a separate numbers. Basically, Tamil numbers are Grantha numbers. So yeah. And there's one more question. Where can we contact you if you have any further queries? You can drop me a mail, right? That would be the easiest ways to contact me. Let me stop screen. Yeah, that would be the easiest way to contact me. Just drop me a mail, right? And I think you guys should have my email ID. If you don't, let me type it here. Yeah, that's my email.
So I will have people who have raised their hands. I'm going to allow one person at a time to talk.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah.
So Deepthi first. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the help. And actually, I had two queries. One
Right.
is, I guess, I mean, I'm not sure if this was already covered earlier, but when it comes to writing something like Devar, I found that there is only the Raswa form of Devar in Manipravala editor and the Grantha editor. So
Right.
is there no Dirgha for
No, I think I have to give you some historic background of what happened, right? So, right, traditionally, right, Tamil did not have Hraswa and Dirgha forms of A, right? You have to add a puli to the A, right, to get the Dirgha form, right? And when the missionaries came and everything, Tamil script was reformed. So the Dirgha form of A that we use now was basically invented like 200 years ago, right? And Grantha, being a traditional script, did not adopt that, right? That's why you have only the one thing, right? That's A in Grantha, but it became short A in Tamil, historical reasons, right? But the problem was like, since they look similar, sometimes people confuse them, right? When one said, say, I want to write Veva, right? Hypothetical Veva, right? It looks the same in Grantha and Tamil, right?
Okay.
If you read as it becomes Veva. If you read as Grantha, it becomes Veva, right? So some printers tried borrowing the Dirgha form to make Tamil and Grantha look more similar, right? So there won't be any confusion reading the words.
Okay.
And it's basically only there are a couple of books I know that use them because they just wanted to avoid the confusion. So it's problem is like we don't have that in Unicode. I probably have to propose it at some point, but it's just a printing convention. So you don't find it in manuscripts, or even most of the books you don't find the Tamil form of A.
Okay.
It was an experiment. Some people tried it, but didn't catch up.
So why I asked that was I actually found it in one of the inscriptions near near Gauri Bidnur.
The thing is like I saw the thing. You sent me the transcription.
Correct.
I don't think the inscription per se has a dirgha. It can't. I highly doubt that if you take the imprint of the inscriptions, I haven't seen it. I don't think it has it. It's just how they printed the transcription in modern Grantha.
Actually, the image that I had sent you was directly from Epigraphia Karnataka. I don't have the estampage form of
that.
that.
So I think the estampage wouldn't have it because when all these the Epigraphy books, right, they work with the fonts and typeface they had.
Okay.
Right. So they actually mixed it together.
Okay.
And I think it was that convention of like doing it, transcribing the Dirgha A in Grantha using the Tamil-like form.
Okay.
But I don't think the extant page will have it.
Okay.
I highly doubt the extant page will have it.
Okay. So basically, it will be it would have been contextual when we read, whether it's they or they, that way.
The thing is, like, Sanskrit doesn't have a rasva, right? Even in Tamil, for 2000 years, people didn't write it like, didn't differentiate like a and a, right? The grammar say you have to do it with a puli, like a dot. For like inscriptions and palm leaves, people didn't bother, right? Even in Tamil, if you take an old inscription or like even an old palm leaf manuscript, you have to contextually read A and O's.
Okay.
So,
yeah, coming to my second question. So when we have to write Lakshmi, it's similar to what it is in Tamil, is it?
Lakshmi.
The same. Yeah, Lakshmi.
Okay, I can show you. It's not that difficult. Yeah, let me share my screen. Right. See, right. Love?
I'm not able to see the screen.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. And because it's a Samiktakshara,
okay.
That would be. Yeah. All this becomes this. I write in Tamil as well, just in case. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
No worries. Radhika.
Hari Om. You said you are typing your mail ID. Did you type it in the chat? I can't see it.
Yes.
Or would you like to just tell?
No, it's in the chat.
I can't see it. Chat.
Yeah, it's if you go to the history, it's there. Yeah.
Okay, now I see it. Okay, thank you very much.
No worries.
You have for the session. Is today the end of the webinar? This class, or
I mean, we could do one more. Try getting a book and reading it together. But I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, we have only 15 people. We started with 60. And I think that's fine. I think you guys know enough to actually take a book and read it. And, and this comes with practice. So we practice like a few concepts every day. And that should be fine. And there isn't much more to cover.
so
At least for the basics.
Whatever you had planned to cover, this completes the
Whatever
webinar.
I planned to cover, we covered it.
Okay, very nice. Thank you very much. It was something very new. It's a treasure. And of course, it needs a lot of practice. We have to go over and over it again and again. Yeah. And you said the Grantha numerals are exactly the same as Tamil numerals.
Yeah.
I was not aware that Tamil had a different numerals. I thought it was the normal 1, 2, 3 numeral that we write.
No. Indian letters have all Indian scripts have like their own numeral systems.
Tamil does, is it?
Tamil does, yeah.
Oh.
I mean, we don't use it, but it does.
Okay. All right. So now that we have finished, I will be going through the whole thing again for practice, and then whenever there are doubts or if I'm stuck somewhere, can I approach you for
yeah.
clarification?
Just drop me an email. Yeah, if when I have time, I'll reply.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No worries.
There is one other question, as in what books can we start reading in Grantha Lipi?
I think the presentation that we sent you has links to lots of books that have Grantha, right? And in fact, right, what I know, this is something that's nice. If you go to like, let me share my screen again. Right. If you go to sanskritdocuments.com, you can take anything, right? I want to say, right? You can take anything, right? And you can change it to Grantha and start reading it, right? If you have like, a stotra that you like, but you want to, that already, I would say like take that stotra, right? And set it to Grantha. And it's always also a good way to practice it, right? Because you know the text already, your mind maps it. For the printed ones, there are several books. You can take, if you Google for agamas, right? Lots of like Shaiva agamas are in Grantha, right? And there are like several books to learn Sanskrit in Grantha. I think we can send it via email, the links to those books, right? You can actually learn Sanskrit using Grantha. The whole book is in Grantha. And the PowerPoint presentation we shared also should have some links regarding books that have been printed in Grantha, right? So yeah.
ஹலோ
Yeah.
நான் பேசுறது கேக்குதா?
கேக்குதுங்க, சொல்லுங்க.
ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம் நீங்க சொல்லி கொடுத்தது. ஏன்னா நிறைய இடத்துல நான் இதை பத்தி கேட்கும் போது இதை சொல்லி தரத்துக்கு யாருமே முன் வரல. இந்த பேசிக் கத்துக்கிறது ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருக்கு. பட் இது வந்து நிறைய எழுதி எழுதி பழக தான் வந்து அதோடைய பரிச்சயம் அதிகம் ஆகும்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
ஆமாங்க, எல்லா மாதிரி தான் இதுவும் நீங்க எழுதுறதா உங்களுக்கு கத்துக்க முடியும்.
ரொம்ப என்ன சொல்றது, ரொம்ப மகிழ்ச்சி, ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம். ஏதாவது ஒரு டவுட் ப்ராப்ளம் இருந்தா நான் உங்களுக்கு ஈமெயில் பண்றேன்.
ஈமெயில் பண்ணுங்க, பிரச்சனை இல்ல.
Thank you.
No worries. Yeah.
திரும்ப நீங்க இது மாதிரி ஏதாவது ஒரு செஷன் இருந்தா எனக்கு எப்படி தெரிய வரும்?
Vidya will contact you probably. Vidya has a mailing list.
ஏன்னா சம்வேர் என்னோட ஹஸ்பண்ட் வந்து அவர் இது எனக்கு அனுப்பிச்சார் இந்த லிங்க். அது சோ ஃபியூச்சர்ல எனக்கு எப்படி எனக்கு தெரிய வரும்?
Vidya
has given your email. அப்படி if we do something further or we will notify. நாங்க அனுப்புறோம். உங்க யாரோ இமெயில் எங்க கிட்ட இருக்கோ அவளுக்கு தான் நாங்க அனுப்புறோம்.
ரொம்ப நன்றி.
And one more person has said prapatti.com has many shlokas.
No, the Grantha is wrong in prapatti.com. It's not right. It's broken. I checked Prapatti.
இந்த Sanskrit documentsல இருக்கிறது கரெக்ட்டா இருக்குதா?
Yeah, that's fine. I did that. I did that in Sanskrit documents, so that's fine. Because the Prapatti, the problem is like, I can show you. Let me share my screen again. The thing is like, the font they use is broken for some reason. I don't know why. I go to prapatti.com. So this one, right? This is Grantha, right? The whole thing is broken. The whole text is like absolutely broken. So this all the thing is wrong. I have to contact. I think I have his email. I have to talk to him about it. Why it's broken. But Sanskrit documents is a good way to start. And I think the Saraswati Mahal has printed a book for Grantha, two volumes, right, Vidya? They have 2 volumes, and it's an archive.org, and that's a very, very good place to start.
At least one volume is definitely there.
Yeah. At least one volume is there.
Dr.
வினோத், எனக்கு ஒரு விஷயம் கேட்கணும்.
சொல்லுங்க.
இப்போ இங்க வந்து நம்ம இந்த ஸ்லோக புக் எல்லாம் வந்து கடையில கிடைக்கும் போது பாத்தீங்கன்னா, ஒரு பக்கம் சான்ஸ்கிரிட்ல இருக்கும், தேவநாகரியில, இன்னொரு பக்கம் தமிழ்ல இருக்கும். அத மாதிரி கிரந்தா அண்ட் தமிழ் இல்ல கிரந்தா அண்ட் தேவநாகரி அப்படி ஏதாவது புக்ஸ் இருக்க வாய்ப்பு இருக்கா?
நாங்க பிரிண்ட் பண்ணா, நீங்க பிரிண்ட் பண்ணாதான் உண்டு.
Okay.
I think like now it doesn't take a lot of time. I think we can do.
அவரோட அக்ஷரமுக்கா டூல்ல போய் நீங்களே ஒரு டாக்குமெண்ட் எடுத்து ரெண்டும் போட்டு
நிச்சயமா
அப்படி பண்ண முடியும்.
நிச்சயமா. எனக்கு வந்து என்னோட சண்டி பாராயணம் இதுல கிரந்தால படிக்கணும் அப்படின்ட்டு எனக்கு ரொம்ப ஆர்வம். என்கிட்ட புக் கூட இருக்கு, பட் நான் நிறைய பிராக்டிஸ் பண்ணி கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமா தான் அதுக்கு படிக்க ஆரம்பிச்சேன்.
I think I can show you how to do that. I just added it a while ago. Let's try it. Let me take a sample text. Let's take this one. I want to take this, right? If you go to Composer, right? If you go here and give it here and say you want it in Grantha and Tamil,
oh, lovely.
You get it both, right? And you can even split it whatever you want. I say I want to split by a dot.
Akshara Mukha script converter.
Yeah. And yeah, so you can do this. So it shows you in even you can add like one more if you want, like say Devanagari, you can add Devanagari as well. So you get everything. I split it using like the full stop. You can split with the new lines, whatever you can split. If you split with new lines, maybe it's easier. So I can get here. I want to split using new lines. It's default. So you can put each line, right? And each line will be in it will duplicate. You can say it in Tamil, Grantha, and Devanagari. Yeah. So you can try it out. So you can do it already. Get multiple scripts.
Thank you, Vinodh. நீங்க எங்க ஆக்சுவலி உங்க இது எங்க நீங்க பூர்வீகம்?
மெட்ராஸ்ங்க.
அப்படியா? ஓகே. நானும் சென்னை.
So unless anybody has any other questions,
we can close the session. Yeah.
So thank you very much for doing this session. I mean, we have all seen and used your work, and it was very nice hearing you. And
I mean, it was nice. I did the last session like 10 years ago. It was in Chennai. I had a class like in 2010, 2009, 2010, and it's nice to teach Grantha again. It's nice to see like at least lots of people being interested in Grantha. So, and thanks Vidya for organizing. If not for her nudge, this wouldn't have happened.
so thank you everybody, and hope you will continue and practice and get more comfortable with the script.
Yeah.